How do you grow like a VC-backed company without taking on investors? Do you want to create a lifestyle business, a performance business, or an empire? How do you scale to an exit without losing your freedom? Those are the questions, and this show is the answer. Welcome, everybody, to the Scale Up Show. This is your host, Ryan Staley, and I have a very special guest with me today. I have Jeff Mills. Jeff is a multiple-time revenue leader, partner leader. He is now the Chief Operating Officer at iMerit, where he leads the Lead to Cash initiative, specifically around the whole AI, would you say, annotation space, if you will, with what you guys are doing, and has been in the AI and machine learning space for what, almost 20, 25 years now. So Jeff, welcome. Happy to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So my technical title is President and kind of Chief of Revenue Operations, just to make sure I cleared that up. But ultimately, I've been in AI for about 25 years in different ways. I started my career at Yahoo back in 1998, which ages me a bit. But I've been working in data and AI for over 25 years. We've been using machine learning and different types of model development in e-commerce, in ad tech, and lots of industries over the years. Now at iMerit, we primarily are working in the data solutions business. We work with kind of three large verticals, each one of them being a catch-all in some ways. Mobility is a big vertical for us, doing a lot with like self-driving cars, ADAS, drone delivery systems, smart agriculture, tractors and whatnot on the farms. In our tech vertical, also a big catch-all, we're working with kind of the top tech companies that you would expect us to be working with. A lot of generative AI, a lot of LLM type of work in that area. And then medical has become a big vertical for us as well, where we're really kind of going in, working with the medical device companies, as well as the kind of LLM groups that are trying to build out the medical verticals. So yeah, those are the three big verticals we've been working on. Company's been around for about 10 years. I've been here for about 8 of those 10. And we're scaling up and working with over about 150 different leading AI companies, many of the Fortune 100.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I love the first of all, your history. Also, we're at Kayak. I saw that as well through an acquisition, so that was pretty cool. And really interesting space. I'm excited to go through this with you and kind of dig deeper. So before we do, I guess, like, what stage are you guys at in terms of the revenue journey?
Yeah, so we're I'm kind of an early stage guy. I was at Yahoo for 8 years, built several kind of like $100 million businesses and different properties there. So when I left Yahoo, I followed a mentor of mine to Sidestep. And Sidestep, as you rightfully said, was acquired by Kayak eventually for several $100 million. My next kind of big one was probably Criteo, which is a personalized retargeting company. I think their first VP in the US, scaled that to over, I don't know, it was like 150 million, 200 million in about a year and a half. So I'm kind of in that stage, generally taking companies from pretty early stage, A round, through to Series C, maybe D even, where we've kind of gotten revenues up to over 100 million and moved through. At iMerit, we started basically pre-revenue, very early revenue, and we're up into heading towards that $100 million mark.
And are you guys bootstrapped or are you backed at all?
No, yeah. So we've raised some capital. I came in after the series, I guess I'd call it A, that they raised. Khosla Ventures is involved. Omidyar is involved. Michael and Susan Dell Foundation's involved. BII out of London is involved. So it's mostly kind of social impact funds or tech funds that had a social impact kind of view that they were trying to get into. Not only are we a profitable company that is growing, we're also creating jobs for under-resourced communities, and so we have created about 5,000 jobs here. Over 80% of those jobs coming from kind of under-resourced backgrounds. Over 55% or 52% now is female. And so, really trying to build livelihoods for the people that we're employing here. So the companies that kind of invest in us are, tech companies that wanted to want to see a social impact kind of
That's
investment.
amazing, man. I love that. And it's different than the industry norm or what you hear about in this space. So walk us through that actually. Like, what does your solution do for the LLMs? Like, how do you work with them as well as some of these large tech companies? Because I think that would be really great insight into like not just what you guys do, but your mission and who you're helping and how you kind of actuate that.
Yeah. So I think, if you kind of boil some of this stuff down, I'll kind of, you are what you eat, and so are the models that are being created in the world. And, we've all said garbage in, garbage out, whatever for, again, decades. This business is no different. If you think of a chef for a Michelin restaurant is going to go out, they're going to go to the fish market and they're going to pick out the actual fish that they want to be serving in their restaurant that night. In AI, that's the data. So each of these algorithms that's being created, data is being collected, data is being created, data is being annotated to basically train these ML algorithms or AI algorithms on how to perform a task, how to visualize something, how to do different things. That's basically what iMerit's been doing for the last, I would say, bulk of the last 10 years, is really going through doing that data collection, doing that data annotation, and providing the data that's needed to really build out these algorithms correctly. We're the human in the loop component that's going through. Over the last few years, though, we've actually launched a lot of technology, a lot of tools. We have a platform. And so what that does is it now creates automation. And so as companies have started to grow into this space, they wanted to see that automation start kicking in, right? They're trying to create automation themselves. They wanted to see that automation start helping their growth. And so there's a couple of things on that. Now that we're able to start automating a lot of the data labeling, a lot of the data creation through whether it's synthetic data or it's us just creating models to pre-label and annotate data faster, you're now getting into an era of like validation, a lot of like QCing and verification type processes that are happening. That's still human in the loop. So what I kind of look at is you still want a human in the loop kind of section as data comes into your model, and then you want a human in the loop layer as the data exits your model and goes into production, moves outside of what you're building. We provide those kind of endpoint verification loops where it comes to the human in the loop in both of those sections. Now what's happening with the automation is so quality's always been paramount, right? We need the best quality data to create the best quality algorithms. Nothing's changed there. The difference now, though, is that AI is now in production. So when you're working with, say a large tractor company, a Fortune 100 tractor company that's out there, running tractors in real time, then that data is being collected, is being annotated, and is going into their system on the edge. And by edge, I mean like edge computing, like literally in real time. Things are being consumed, processed, and algorithms are being updated in real time. And so once they see these anomalies that come in through those updates, they want to build, more data around that. What used to take 16, 20 weeks to go through, build out a data set, annotate that, train a model, deploy a model, like go through all of those steps, they've tried to compress that down into like as close to real time as possible. And so, those endpoints have been squeezed in. And so the endpoint that's being squeezed now is really that first side, the data labeling side. So we're now able to automate a lot of that, validate that so we can get the models moved out quicker. Once the models are in production, then you're doing a lot of reinforced learning, human feedback, RLHF, to make sure that those models are running properly and that the data is strong that's coming out, that they're working. So if you go on ChatGPT or your favorite, Baird, whatever your favorite LLM is right now, and you ask a question and it comes back with something not so great, the reality is you can go and ask the question like 7 more times. The RLHF basically is going through and ranking those 7 answers and saying which of the answers is the best, and scoring those answers, et cetera. Those go in, continue to train the models, continue to update those models. So imagine that kind of process at scale for all kinds of. So
that's like really intriguing to me. So like the question I have about that is because I've seen it. I've spent well over 1,000 hours in like the large language models.
I
I don't know if that's like good to tell people.
You are a prompt engineer yourself. You are literally a prompt engineer. You have created the prompts.
Yeah, but I'm like by trade, not an engineer, right? Which is weird, right? So, but what I would say is like, I think it came easy for me because like I based it on the domain expertise, and it's very easy for me to articulate in language like what the outcome I want or what I need. So then it translates to pretty solid results. The question I have is like, what about like, and this is what I've always thought about, like with the reinforced human, kind of learning model that you take, right? Like, how do you do that with someone who's like I should say a foreign country to the US, right? But it's a US language and they don't have any business experience in that domain, or maybe they do. Like, how would they know the quality of an output with that? Like how does that kind of work?
They wouldn't.
Okay.
You're right. They wouldn't. So the reality is you now have these models going out into called 100 languages and several dialects within each language. Massive developments of models going into, basically every country near you. And so, when you start going into that, you're not just looking for crowd workers. These are expertise, like you mentioned. I'm telling you right now, Ryan, you are literally a prompt engineer. The prompts that you're creating for your users is literally prompt engineering. That's what prompt engineering is. It's coming in and creating the correct prompts and the right way of writing a prompt for an algorithm to understand what you're asking to give you back the best results. That is what prompt engineering is. And so you are doing that. Why are you able to do that? Because you're an expert in what you do. You know how, and you became an expert on the models. Yeah. And so you started to know, if I ask the question this way, I'll get a better response than if I ask the question this other way. That's literally prompt engineering, is figuring out how to finesse the prompt to get the response you want. That's the engineering that you're doing, is finessing that prompt. Now, you can't create prompt requests that are, skilled and specific unless you have that expertise. Also, when it comes to the output and rating and ranking that output, you have to have that expertise to be able to do that. So, we've built basically internally, we've built a workforce pyramid. And so there's certain work that can be done, if you have kind of expertise at a wide level, that can be done for, say, computer vision, data labeling of, annotating or building maps for cars. You still need to know how to a road. You need to understand the road signs. You need to understand a lot of things, but a bit more general. You can probably train somebody on that. We also have, go to the top, start moving to the top of the pyramid. We have mathematicians in Brazilian Portuguese. Oh. We have philosophers in, France, in French, who can speak French. We have lots of experts coming from all kinds of different locales around the world to be able to do this type of work. And so, you have to just think kind of percentage wise, there's going to be a lot of models where it's, cats versus dogs. And then eventually it's going to be like breeds of dogs and breeds of cats. And, you can keep moving all the way through. Now I have agronomists that are looking at the plants, and they can understand what kind of plant that is. And if that plant has a disease and what kind of disease that is. Now I can take on that pyramid groups of people who can learn from that agronomist to come up a couple levels, right? And start to be able to do that work because they're being managed by an agronomist who's trained them on something very specific. I have a Stanford trained surgeon who reports to me, runs our MedAI division, Dr. Sina Bari. Sina goes through and helps us, really educate our team on how to do a lot of the work we're doing in the MedAI domain. But that doesn't mean that we're still not bringing in radiologists and surgeons and nurses and, all kinds of different experts and specialists to be able to do the high complex work that we have within those groups.
Okay, I got it.
You are 100% right. They can't do it.
I mean, well, yeah, you got to have wide diversity of experts. And I mean, like you mentioned at the beginning, the autonomous cars, right? Or kind of the IoT aspect. the medical AI, and then I would think it's interesting because like the large language models might be the largest range of different skill sets needed, I would imagine, because it's general purpose, right? So how do you prioritize like resourcing that? And I mean, that's got to be challenging, I guess, unless they probably stack rank. I'm just thinking out loud, the different areas that they want to focus on, I would imagine.
Yeah. So, I mean, we respond to our customer, right? So our customers come in, we say we like to write, but we also are good readers. So write as in we want to, go to the market and educate and, we're a solutions company. We want to solve, we want to lead by example. But we also are good at reading, hearing what someone's challenges are, what their problems are. And ultimately we're in the problem solving business. So, what we're doing is we're really going in and solving these problems. Our customers, and you'll hear a lot about RAG, retrieval augmentation generation, more and more and more over the next year. It's kind of been the talk of the probably first half of this year. It will continue to be the talk for probably the next year and a half. These RAG models are going to be also what helps bring down, it's really going to move models to the next level. And so you're going to start having, RAG models that are being added to these LLMs that you're talking about, which is going to add that expertise that you're looking for things that are more specific. So instead of just using a general open model, which is trained on something like 350 billion tokens, which is pretty much the models you're using today, you'll start using a model that has those 350 billion tokens, but then has a RAG data set attached to it with, call it 3 billion tokens or something, maybe 1 billion tokens, or maybe even hundreds of millions of tokens, and that's it, specifically for legal, or specifically for real estate, or specifically for, medical AI, like specifically for, and go into each kind of subsection that you want to start to create. And as you do that, those models will be clearly asked for. So right now, math, that's a big one. Coding, that's another big one. Like there's a bunch of areas that are being solved today in these big models, and that's going to help kind of the largest kind of English models that you've already seen. But then you still need these same models that you're seeing in English in all of the other languages. So that's also being created at the same time, which is a much bigger lift for each of these companies.
Thank you for checking out the Scale Up Show. My mission in life is to help founders and revenue leaders avoid all the pain and suffering in revenue and growth so they can flip it and create a life of their own design. So if you enjoyed this show, please like, review, share it on social, and more importantly, just share it with a friend. Share it with someone that you think could learn and benefit from what you heard on today. But the more we get the message out, the more people we could help, the bigger the impact we make, and the bigger the community gets, which helps everybody. So once again, thank you for being a loyal listener. I appreciate you and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.